Today, during the first public hearing in the impeachment investigation, there was damning testimony given by Acting Ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor, and Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, George Kent. Now, Donald Trump's reaction to all of this has not been good. He had a number of outbursts on Twitter, which you can expect, but he was actually asked about the impeachment hearing during his joint press conference with the Turkish President Erdogan. So let's hear what he had to say.
I did not watch it. I'm too busy to watch it. It's a witch hunt. It's a hoax. I'm too busy to watch it. So I'm sure I'll get a report. There's nothing. I have not been briefed. No, there's nothing there. I see they're using lawyers that are television lawyers. They took some guys off television. You know, I'm not surprised to see it because Schiff can't do his own questions.
Okay, so we'll address the so-called television lawyers in just a second. But before we do, I just want to note that reports indicate, and Donald Trump's own schedule indicates, that he had the morning free. So he was not very busy. You know,
Really?
later he had the joint press conference with Erdogan, but in the morning he was certainly on Twitter and did not appear to be busy at all.
No, that's not true. Fake news. I was busy watching Fox and Friends.
Oh yeah, that's right. Executive time.
You stand
Very
corrected. Plus little golf, virtual golf, president time. Okay, so everybody, like again, not even the Trump supporters think he was busy. Nobody thinks he's busy. Okay,
Yeah.
like the guy doesn't read. How busy could he be? What's he doing?
Hold that thought, okay? Because I don't want you to forget about what he said about the central casting lawyers or whatever it was.
No.
But before we get to that, I want to just provide a little more evidence regarding how he actually was paying close attention to what was going on. So let's go to some of these graphics showing what he retweeted throughout the day. He retweeted video clips from Republican lawmakers. So there you have one from Representative Matt Gaetz, Kevin McCarthy, another one from Kevin McCarthy.
Wait, I thought we weren't watching. So who's this? Somebody
I don't have
else?
time. I'm very busy.
I was not watching. I was tweeting about watching. Big distinction. Heard the word distinction for the first time today.
You know what I just realized? He is such a mouth breather.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's such a mouth breather. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Now on to television lawyers. Important stuff. So here comes bucket of squirrels. Right? Squirrel. Yeah. No. Well, look. I might have done extortion and betrayed America and our national security interest for personal political gain. On the other hand, they're using television lawyers. I mean, what are we doing with this guy? How is he still in office, right?
Well,
what does television lawyer mean? What does that have to do with anything? And will you please stop being obsessed with ratings and whether things are exciting? You're president. You're not on Apprentice anymore. He can't, one track mind. There's two cells bouncing around there. They never meet. So
he sees everything through his own worldview, right? And how he would appoint certain people to his administration. Like, remember, he thinks about everything as if it's a reality show, as if politics is something that should be cast through central casting.
Oh no, he said those exact words over and over again. You know, remember when he was considering Mitt Romney for Secretary of State, right in the beginning of his administration? And people thought like maybe he's playing with him, and then Romney had that reek picture, like, all right. No, it turns out, no, he was really considering him, and they asked him why. Romney hates you, you hate Romney. He tried to make sure that you didn't win. Normally you hate that kind of stuff. So why are we talking to Romney? He's like, he looks like he's at a central casting.
I think he's hot.
Okay, so apparently he doesn't like that the Democrats are using Matlock to get him as a television lawyer. Well, okay.
But what's incredible, and I have to say, completely separate from what Trump said about the so-called television lawyers, as I was watching the hearing live, you know, the Democratic counsel, meaning the Democratic lawyer, Daniel Goldman, started asking Bill Taylor some questions. And the line of questioning, in my opinion, was so strong and so impressive, it really stood out to me. I was like, look at this lawyer doing a really good job, right? And look, obviously we know Trump was paying attention, and seeing a lawyer do a good job in questioning Trump administration officials about what really went on, didn't like it. Television lawyers, come on.
Okay, to be fair, the reason he was that good, television lawyer. Okay, last thing on that is Stephanie Grisham then went out later in the day and said, no, none of this matters, it was boring. What, even if it were boring, and I'm pretty sure impeachment hearings where they have overwhelming evidence that the president did it is not boring, but even if it were boring, so what? Like, how does that absolve you of guilt? Because for them, everything's a circus. They're like, oh no, impeachment hearing, circus, guilty, it was boring. Got you.
Yeah, I mean, we have like middle school students running government. It's devastating. But nonetheless, one other thing that's devastating is the fact that Donald Trump is on a stage with a world leader, Erdogan, and he's answering questions about impeachment. And look, he makes a fool out of himself whether he's undergoing impeachment or not. But here he is getting asked about some of the specifics in regard to the testimony given today. And take a look at how he responds.
There was one moment where Ambassador Bill Taylor recounted a conversation that an aide of his overheard. It was the day after the phone call with Zelensky on July the 26th, in which the aide says that he overheard you say to Sunland, how are things going with proceeding with the investigations? Sunland repeated back to you, according to this aide, that Ukraine was prepared to do everything that you wanted it to do. Is that correct? And can you fill in some more?
I know nothing about that. First time I've heard it. The one thing I've seen that Sondland said was that he did speak to me for a brief moment, and I said no quid pro quo under any circumstances, and that's true. The other, I've never heard this. In any event, it's more secondhand information, but I've never heard it.
Do you recall having a conversation with?
I don't recall. No, not at all. Not even a little bit.
Now, just quickly in regard to Sunland, as we all know, he later changed his testimony, indicating that there was quid pro quo because he was, involved in some of the conversations pertaining to quid pro quo. So there was so much evidence of that in later testimony that Gordon Sondland had no choice but to change his own testimony to corroborate what was actually being said by other Trump administration officials. Otherwise, he would face perjury issues, and so he changed the testimony.
Yeah. Look, this is just a silly point about body language, but Zelensky, when he was with Trump, in that press conference, looked so nervous, and they asked him, like, was there pressure? And he's like, I don't want to get involved in politics. Erdogan, on the other hand, is like,
I know, it's bad.
Right, he's just sitting there like with that grin on his face, like, yeah, I ate northern Syria. And this chump's got to deal with whatever trouble he's in, and I couldn't care less.
No, but Cenk, you're so right, because on any other news day, the joint press conference with Erdogan would be the top news story, because as we know, Donald Trump has a phone call with Erdogan. Right after the phone call, Trump decides to abandon our Kurdish allies in northern Syria, and Erdogan moves in, has a giant military operation there. There's still some questions as to whether or not he's following through with the ceasefire that he promised to follow through on. And there were ISIS fighters that our Kurdish allies were guarding who were later able to escape as a result of Kurds having to flee to protect their own lives, right? So I mention all this stuff because some of the stuff that was said during that press conference, which we will cover later, isn't really getting much news because there's so much attention, I guess rightfully so, on the impeachment investigation. So Erdogan's thinking to himself, awesome.
Yeah, he's thinking, how did I get this lucky? I mean, this schmuck gets elected, and then I don't know what he's got on him, but he's got something, right? And then he gives me everything I want. And then you would think at the moment that I'm in the biggest trouble, I got to go do a press conference in America with a lot of reporters that are hostile about my unbelievable aggression in northern Syria, and no, like barely any questions about it because everybody's asking this guy about other crimes he committed that were even worse. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.